We created this box for tailgating. Here's how we pitched it. Now before we get to game day, let's start at the very beginning. It all started with this class, Entrepreneurial Immersion. What better way to understand the fundamentals of making a product real than to do a sprint? The theme of the sprint? Tailgating. I didn't know anything personally about tailgating, but fortunately we know other people that do. It all starts with some interviews, a lot of sticky notes, and little voting dots. A few crappy drawings later, we vote again. We find more people to interview, build a prototype for real, and then build a prototype for real. What better way to get validation than by showing them the real thing?
Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it scary to have a safe and home?
Gather interview data, make a great pitch deck, and rock that pitch.
It's all you need to do.
So at this point, it's really easy to get carried away. Let's remember what all this is for. Yeah, that entering new markets bit. That's the part that us engineers really get carried away with when making a new product, that we focus on the product and not the fact that the product needs to fit the market. That's a pretty big oversight. Innovator to innovator, let me point out all the problems with our big functional box. Now, which of these problems will you solve? You probably don't have enough money and time to fix all of these problems. And even if you did, you wouldn't want to waste money fixing something that nobody thought was broken in the first place. This is the essence of product market fit. Knowing your customer, engaging with them, and understanding what they care about so you fix things that they care about, and in turn, you make the best use of your resources. It is very unlikely that we have 100% product market fit with our first iteration because we just made a decent guess. It wasn't a great guess, it was just what we knew at the time based off of the customer information and our early customer interviews, and we just went off to the races. If we didn't do those early customer interviews, and more importantly, the later customer interviews when we actually showed this thing to them, we wouldn't have any idea what problems are worth fixing. Compared to nothing, understanding a little bit about your product market fit gives you a much more clear idea of what needs to be fixed first. Now, I say all this because sometimes we never get it out of our heads that we're not the target customer. Like, I think that in this example is extremely apparent. I'm not your biggest football fan. I'm not your biggest tailgater. I am like the most unideal person for this product. And yet, I have a pretty decent understanding of where our product market fit kind of is. I mean, it's not a great understanding as I said before. We had like 5 days. Now, I know that you're a passionate individual that wants to make the world a better place, and you don't exactly know where to start. So starting with your passions is a great start. I did that. I started a photography app 2 years ago to help photographers save time by going from thousands of photos to a select few in just an instant. And I still really like that idea of having great work-life balance for photographers. And I guess, unfortunately, after 2 years of spiraling and like $5,000 later, I still have no clue what my product market fit really is. And unfortunately, I had that attitude unconsciously going into customer interviews and when I was writing code, and I did the very thing that I said not to do, fixing things that nobody said were a problem in the first place. Going back to the box, sure, it's heavy. It's difficult to move, the handles are uncomfortable, and it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world. But guess what? I probably shouldn't fix any of those problems yet because I'm not the tailgating expert. It's very tempting as a nerd to chase technical perfection. And if you have enough time to think about making something technically perfect, I'm gonna guess that you haven't spent enough time with your customer. Because how the heck do you even know if they care about technical perfection? If it ain't broke, don't fix it is such a slippery slope because it's not about what you think is broken, it's about what the customer thinks is broken. If you ever get the chance, get some friends together and work on a project that you personally know nothing about. I knew nothing about tailgating going into this project, and I can say that when I was working on prototyping, instead of trying to make things perfect, I just try to make the prototype happen based on things that people have actually said. My question to you is, what are you passionate about? I urge you to find other people that are just as passionate about it as you are and talk to them. If it helps, pretend that you know nothing about it. Going back to my photography app, I still think it's a really cool idea based off of my anecdotal experience as a photographer. And I don't understand my product market fit yet, but that's okay because I know exactly who to call.